Welcome to our football educational video series. This is our first video for the 2025 year. This is our off-season videos. In today's video, we're going to focus heavily on keys and knowing our keys and ensuring that we know our keys. And the play we're going to look at is pass play. And you're going to see why it is so important that the officials and a five-person mechanics knows their keys so that we can see accurately the play and know what happened during the play so we can properly rule in play. So let's take a look at the play that I have this week regarding a pass play, and let's get into the play. So as we look at this play, we're going to have a pass play where we have a potential for a possible defensive pass interference. Now, our focus will not be so much on the defensive pass interference. We're going to more so focus on number 17, who I have highlighted inside the circle, and do the officials officiate this play in accordance with our officiating manual, and what improvements, if any, could they have made to better officiate this play, and were they focused on their keys or their areas of responsibility. And as you watch this play, we're going to look at those two things, the defensive pass interference potential and also the officials on the field. And are they appropriately officiating this play within accordance with our procedure, our mechanics for a play like this? And so as you can see the play develop, we're going to see right there near the goal line is where the contact occurs. So let's break this play down further. We will be utilizing the officials manual for the 24-25 season, specifically pages 110, 111, and 112, which is for crews of 5, which we normally work with. Specifically, we will look on page 111 where it talks about positional keys, and we will focus on that area of the manual so that we can break down this play further. We're going to use this still photo with the red lines approximately where the tackles are to determine our positional keys to appropriately officiate this play. So first of all, we must determine our positional keys. The game officials must recognize the strength of the formation, strong side, weak side. And the strong side is a side at which there are more eligible receivers outside the tackle. Specifically, that is why I have the two red lines indicating the tackles. Positional keys are determined by the position you are working in the game. Keys deal more with the back judge and wings. The back judge main positional key is the widest eligible receiver on the strong side of the formation. At the snap, the back judge first observes the tackle, sees if he's run blocking or pass blocking, then observes the action of his key receiver, and if that player moves into another official's coverage area, then the back judge will turn his attention to players in his coverage area. A balanced formation, which this is a balanced formation, is one in which there are the same number of eligible receivers outside the tackles on both sides of the formation. In a balanced formation, the strength is always considered to be on the line judge's side of the field. Hence, on this play, it would be number 17. That would be the line judge side of the field. The back judge keys on the widest receiver. The wing official's key on the receivers other than the back judge key, and any backs who move toward them at the snap. In this still photo, I have highlighted 4 players on the offense inside the blue circles. These are the players who are outside the tackles. These are the players that will determine our positional keys for the wings in the back judge. Specifically, we'll notice we have 2 on each side. Again, we have a balanced formation, which means the strength of this formation is always to the line judge side of the field. In this still shot, you can see I have 2 players highlighted in yellow here. Those 2 players are the keys for the head linesman on this play. Notice they're the 2 players that are outside the tackle on the head linesman's side of the field because we have a balanced formation. That is the head linesman's 2 keys of responsibility at this current time on this formation. On this still shot, I have two additional players highlighted inside the pink shade. These two players would be the initial responsibility of our line judge. The one receiver who is outside the tackle, inside the widest receiver, and then the back. Now, obviously, depending on where the back goes on this play, could also dictate where the line judge's main area of focus. But because the head linesman already has two players, the line judge will have that inside receiver and then assist with this back. On our third still shot here, I have number 17, who was our initial focus when we watched this play, highlighted inside the red shaded area. Number 17, in accordance with our officiating manual for a 5-person crew, is the back judge's positional key or area of responsibility on this play. So the back judge will have primary on this receiver depending on how the play plays out. And as we already know, this receiver goes across and down into the middle, into the back judge's area. On this still shot of this formation, you can see I have all the positional keys of our two wings and our back judge highlighted. I have also put a blue circle around our back judge with an arrow directed towards the back judge's key. Couple of things. First of all, because this key is on the line judge's side of the field, I would recommend the back judge move their position closer to their key. As you can see, they're positioned on the opposite side hash, and they're also focused, as you look at the back judge's hat, seems to be on the two players or one of the players on the head linesman side, which is not the back judge's key based upon our officiating manual. So it looks initially that our back judge may be misaligned. Now, you may say we do it differently on our crew outside the manual. The only thing I will caution you on that is when we start officiating plays and mechanics not within the manual, it is potential that it leads to a greater risk of making errors or mistakes. If we all stay within the manual, especially if we work with different officials each week, we will be more consistent because we will be using the written manual as our guideline for officiating. So, back to using the manual in this play, our back judge would probably be better positioned to move more towards their key so that they have a better line of sight. Also, like I said, this to me would indicate that the back judge's focus is not on his key based upon his positioning in based upon where the back judge's focus is by the brim of his hat. So if you're unfamiliar with your keys, positional keys, you need to review those pages thoroughly so that you can be better prepared for the upcoming 2025 season. And as I've already referenced and indicating in this screen still shot, that as you can see, the back judge's key highlighted in red, shaded in red, you can see where I recommend that the back judge on this play move positionally to have better view and perspective on their particular key. Coming back to the play, we're going to go through the play again. We're going to break some things down, take a look at some things here, and see what we can do to make sure that we're properly officiating this play and improve our officiating on plays like this. First of all, I want to point out, as we can see the balls being spotted or snapped at the 16-yard line. This does make it challenging for crews of 5-person. As you can see, where our back judge, he's appropriately positioned on the goal line. But as you'll see this play develop, it's kind of going to come at the back judge and kind of forces the back judge somewhat off that goal line. And we know the back judge has goal line responsibility from the 16. And so it does make it very difficult to officiate this play, and it does put a little bit of strain and make it difficult on that back judge. But I still think there are some things that can be done on this particular play to improve our coverage of it. So as you can see right here, we have to be aware of this situation right here inside, highlighted inside the circle, because we have two offensive players crossing. And we want to make sure that all that contact, if there is any, and that crossing is all legal in accordance with the rules. Because we don't want a team specifically here, maybe the offense, to gain an advantage on a play like this because they ran a crossing pattern and they did something illegal. So we need to have definitely a view of that and be able to rule on that. The other part here, while that's going on over here, I want to bring notice to these two players on the headlinesman side that I have inside of circles. Notice how there is a distance between the defensive player and the offensive player. So we have a pretty good cushion of about 5 yards or so. And so one thing we know by that is we're not going to have a contact foul because they're not in distance to have contact. So what I'm saying here is we need to be aware of that because we can, if those are our players and they're not near each other, we can kind of keep an eye on them, but not as heavily focused because we know they don't have contact. So we can kind of divert our attention to where there is potential contact and then come back to them when needed if those two players come closer together. Because we don't need to be as focused on it because obviously when you're that distance apart, you cannot receive a foul for something related to contact when you can't contact each other. So that's just why I want to point that out. Now, as we come back to here, we can see right here, this is where we potentially have that defensive pass interference. Did we have the defensive player committing some type of pass interference? So, first of all, let's look at the back judge position. So the back judge comes to this, in my opinion, a little late because he was still focused looking the other direction. Two things. One, where this potential defensive pass interference occurs by the defensive player is kind of on the backside of the offensive player. So you got two things. The back judge is, first of all, has a player between him and the play, could obstruct his view. Also, most of the contact occurred kind of on the backside of these two players. So that adds another element, a difficulty for the back judge. But we can see from the line judge standing there right outside the 15-yard line that the line judge has a clear, unobstructed view. The important thing here is we have to work together as a crew. We have to see this play in its entirety to properly rule on it. And it may be a situation where this line judge sees it better than the back judge. And the line judge could put a penalty marker down on the field potentially. It may be a case where we maybe put a penalty marker down and we may come together and discuss it. And we may actually pick that penalty marker up because as we can see, the offensive player goes down on this play. And we always want to know, why did that offensive player go down? Was it incidental contact? Did the player slip or did the player get pushed down? Because we want to be able to explain that specifically to the coach. The coach may not agree with our decision, but we want to be able to tell the coach why we made the decision we did or didn't make the decision and explain that. And that sometimes will help the coach understand your perspective. The other part of this play I want to talk about is after the play occurs or after the potential defensive pass interference. We're going to notice I have a gold line here right around the 25-yard line. And here in North Carolina, we restrict our team personnel to between the 25-yard lines. So we're going to focus on the coaches and the players after the play occurs because obviously this team feels that maybe there was a potential for a defensive pass interference that was not called, and they're going to object to it. And we're going to look at the coach I have highlighted inside the circle here specifically. And we're going to see this coach come down outside the team box, come down onto the field around the 18-yard line. And we need to address this. The line judge here needs to be aware of this and needs to get this coach back inside the team box. We can't permit this. And so how do we address this? Obviously, I said get the coach back in the team box and let him know. Second of all, could we potentially put a penalty marker down? Absolutely. What could we call here? Well, specifically, we can look at Rule 9, Section 8, specifically D. Anyone who's indicating objections to a game official's decision. Now, we're not on the field. We can't hear what the coach is saying, but I'm sure he's not saying things that in a positive tone. I'm sure he's questioning that call. So we could put a penalty marker down on the field and have an unsportsmanlike conduct on this coach for him coming outside the team box, questioning an official's decision on the field of play. It needs to be addressed. Now, could you potentially say if this coach came down and say, hey, can I get a description of what happened? If that's what happened, could you walk him back and maybe give him a sideline warning if he has not had one or address it that way? You could potentially do that. But let's keep in mind that the rules do support you with a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty under Rule 9, Section 8. So, the important part here is, though, that we address this and get this corrected. If we do not, then this coach is going to feel entitled the remainder of this game, and potentially, if there are more games in the season, to continuously do this because he has been allowed to do it. But if we correct it, then he'll understand that there are consequences, and the rules do support those consequences for his actions if they are not in the guidelines of the rule book. So let's make sure we address this as officials on the field and get the coaches off the field. That concludes this educational video on the keys. I hope this information was helpful or create some discussion for you to improve your game. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to watch this video. Feel free to hit the like button, share, or also comment below. Until our next educational video, take care.